All right, check the mic. Instant reaction. We are live talking week 14, just watching the Green Bay Packers sealing their win against the Chicago Bears 28-21. What a game here, Sam. Bears are on their way, coming back down 7. Keyshawn Nixon with the game-sealing interception in the end zone. So the Bears now, the Packers now 9-3-1. Bears fall to 9-4. We've got the Rams, I think, back at the number 1 seed at 10-3. With the tiebreaker over the Seahawks, who are 10-3, all sorts of playoff implications just on that one pass, but right now by Caleb Williams.
Yeah, it was crazy. The one pass, like you said, the Bears had kind of taken over late in the game. Their run game was working. They were wearing out the Green Bay defense. They tied the game up after Green Bay got out to the lead and had the game, controlled for most of it. And then the Packers answered with a really impressive drive of their own, got it into the end zone on third down. Chicago was driving to answer one more time and didn't quite make the third down, took the fourth down attempt, and the play's there. Like Caleb actually makes, I think, the right decision and just doesn't execute the pass well. He puts way too much air under it, lofts it up there, and Keyshawn Nixon's able to pick it off after a pretty rough game from Keyshawn Nixon otherwise, like a redemption story for him to be the guy that seals the game in their favor.
Man, it was a great game, man. Bears had that run game going. Josh Jacobs with some incredible runs down the stretch, a 3rd and 1, and then his game-winning touchdown. Jordan Love with 3 more touchdown passes. Again, bunch of clutch plays. And Christian Watson, always the big play threat for the Packers, leading the way with 89 receiving yards. As always, we'll break it all down in great detail tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Check the mic, the full Week 14 review. Let's go back to the 1 o'clock games. A lot going on here. The other battle for first place, Pittsburgh Steelers, back atop, all by themselves in the AFC North. They're now 7-6. They beat the Ravens 27-22. The storylines, everybody's pushing Tomlin out of town, and we said on the show it's a Tomlin game, right? Backs against the wall. They haven't played well in a month. Well, here they are. Haven't even completed a deep pass in a month and a half, and Rodgers comes out first throw to DK for 52.
Yeah, it does make you wonder why they haven't just been throwing random deep passes to DK Metcalf near constantly throughout this entire last couple of months. Like, what's the harm in just taking a shot to him every now and again, seeing how it works? Because generally speaking, it works pretty well for them. This was the second week in a row, though, where it's like there couldn't have been a more obvious, like, no particular good reason coming, but the Steelers will show up this game. Mike Tomlin, this is the game that Mike Tomlin wins. I said it last week with the Panthers, and then my own brain shouted me down. I didn't have the guts to pick it. This time I at least picked it, and we got it right. Like, obviously the Steelers were going to show up in this game when everyone had written them off for months now.
Interesting storyline game. Honestly, the Steelers, they got run all over by the Bills last week. It had a bunch of disappointing outings. It felt like they were a different team almost immediately, not just Rodgers hitting the deep ball to DK. He was talking about them having a great week of practice and everything's all good, and Rodgers is taking snaps under center again, so maybe the wrist is completely healed. Everything felt different for Pittsburgh. And even with all that said, the Ravens were playing from behind for most of the game, chipping away. They had a bunch of flags go against them down the stretch. I'm not saying any of them were wrong, but a bunch of calls going against them. They almost had that
against them.
Aaron Rodgers, and then the touchdown to Isaiah Likely. We could call that wrong. 2 feet down. You need to get the third foot in, whatever it is. Touchdown taken off the board for the Ravens. And then in their comeback attempt, a flag on the punt return cost them about 20 yards of field position. And that was pretty much it. Steelers held on, and they're sitting atop the AFC North at 7-6.
Yeah, the 2 games we just talked about, the Bears, Packers, and then the Ravens, Steelers, those felt like the 2 worst officiated games of the Sunday. I mean, they were both some pretty rough calls. I don't understand how you take that touchdown off the board to Isaiah Likely. I think that's crazy based off previous catch precedents that have been set. I mean, that's 2 hands touched, they're both feet down. There's a little bit of a delay, and then the ball gets knocked out. That's been a touchdown in the past. And yet they take it off the board, and they never really recovered from that.
So the other game with AFC North implications was the Cincinnati Bengals, looking like, they belonged until they stopped. Buffalo Bills get the win 39-34 over the Bengals. Bills move to 9-4. Cincinnati's last-ditch effort, man. It looked like another repeat of a few years ago in the playoffs. They're in the snow in Buffalo, and the Bengals are unstoppable offensively. Touchdowns on their first 3 drives. Look great on offense, and then just while they're holding on to the lead, just a weird pick 6 from Joe Burrow. Weird throw to Christian Benford, pick six, gives Buffalo their first lead of the day, and they held on despite Cincinnati still, making some plays down the field.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati was 10 points up multiple times in that game. I think overall for the entire, 60 minutes, they looked like the better football team, but they had a 20-second window where the whole thing just completely melted down. You had that one play where I'm not 100% sure what Burrow was trying to do. It felt like he was just trying to loft it over Benford and didn't quite make it. And Benford picks the ball out of the air and takes it back for a touchdown. By the way, Burrow misses the tackle on it. He's no Jamar Chase when it comes to making tackles himself.
Right.
And then immediately later, you get the batted pass, which becomes another interception. It's like the problem with the type of start to the season that they've had and the fact that they're, mathematically alive, but not really alive, is you have no margin for error and you can't even get unlucky. Like, okay, maybe Burrow might have gotten away with one ridiculous pick six that goes back in the other direction, but you then get unfortunate, right? Like a batted pass of the line, and most of the time those drop incomplete. This time it drops into the hands of AJ Epinesa, and that's the game. Like, that's the problem with that type of having your back against the wall like that. You cannot get unlucky in addition to being, making all the plays that you have yourselves.
And don't forget, you were facing superhuman Josh Allen, the Superman version on the other side. 40-yard touchdown run in the snow, a fourth down touchdown early in the game as they were going back and forth with the Bengals. And then, Sam, I want to break it down in great detail tomorrow, but the Bills were up 4th and goal. They gave up the field goal to go up 7. They didn't take the points to go up 7. They said, we're going to make this a two-possession game. We're going to go for it. They score a touchdown to go up 11. And that ended up being the game-winning decision for the Bills, not to take the points move, to go for the touchdown move, to go up 11, because the Bengals came right down the field, back-to-back one-handed catches by Mike Gesicki and T. Higgins, and they were back within a score. So the Bills, that Sean McDermott decision to go for it on 4th and goal instead of just going up 7, I thought was a game-winning decision that I'm sure all of the pundits will be breaking down and giving proper credit to McDermott for that one.
I'm a little bummed that the Bengals didn't end up, hanging on, or that they found a way to lose this. Because if they'd won this game, and the fact that Baltimore has just won, or the fact that Pittsburgh rather just won against Baltimore, again, we talked about them being like the most mathematically alive 4-8 team or whatever in NFL history. If they had won that game against Buffalo the way they had, and the math was still sort of landing just about in their favor, they would be such a fascinating team down the stretch as this terrifying opponent to anybody. Now, the shine's gone a little bit since their season is basically officially done now.
More playoff implications in the AFC South. Jacksonville Jaguars 36-19. This is the other game with first place on the line, and the Jags dominate the game. They go to 9-4. Colts go to 8-5. Trevor Lawrence, talk about him in a second, but the big story is Daniel Jones injured in the first half. Right Achilles. Right Achilles. He already had a left fibula injury and Achilles injury. And Riley Leonard, the rookie out of Notre Dame, had to come in, finish the game for the Colts. And so Daniel Jones going down as the Colts fall to 8-5.
Yeah, because Anthony Richardson is still on IR with that eye injury he suffered with the elastic band or whatever the hell happened there pre-game 1 week. Just a horrible course of events for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, they've gone from the start that they had, the number 1 seed in the AFC, looking like a march to the playoffs. All of a sudden, they might not make the playoffs. Their quarterback is now done with an Achilles injury, and they don't have him locked up long term. And now you've got that wrinkle to the whole thing. Richardson, the guy that was the quarterback before that, is still on IR. Riley Leonard, he was game and gave it a good shot, but is probably not going to win you any games. And then Jacksonville on the other side, you got one of the best games of Trevor Lawrence's career in this game, and the Jags looked fantastic. They took control of the division and sort of wrested it from you. Just total disaster for the Colts.
And the Colts have the Seahawks, Niners, Jags again, and then the Texans to finish the season. So all teams with winning records. Yeah, I mean they're 8-5. They honestly, they're probably not favored in any of those games now with Riley.
You might end up with a losing record after being whatever it was 8-3.
And credit the Jags, man. They moved to 9-4, and I think this is the best I saw Trevor Lawrence play in quite a while. I mean, they had all-out blitz. He just rolled out left, hit the great Tim Patrick in stride. We'll get into better detail tomorrow morning, but I thought this was the best I've seen from Lawrence. Stack that now. I said the same thing last week against Tennessee. I thought 2 weeks ago against Arizona, minus a couple bad decisions in there, but he had the special. Last 3 weeks, I think Trevor Lawrence is feeling it, and the Jags offense, I think, is unlocked. Just more explosiveness since Jacoby Myers has come over. So credit the Jags, and they took advantage of the injury for sure. So they're 9-4, full control of the AFC South right now. And then a bunch of, well, let's talk NFC South, and we'll talk about the blowouts in the 1 o'clock window. The Saints get the win over the Bucks, 24-20. Saints move to 3-10. Bucks fall to 7-6. Now officially tied with the Carolina Panthers atop the NFC South. They haven't played yet, and they're going to play in week 16 and 18. We've been pointing to those games for a while, and just more fodder there. But it's Tyler Shuck who goes 7 carries for 55 yards, including a 34-yard touchdown. 2 incredible touchdowns from Shuck, who's the best running quarterback in the NFL today somehow.
Yeah. It felt like this entire game was like 4th down attempts. The Bucks were going for them early. The Saints were going for them because, they need to, and they're the Saints. And then Tampa Bay failing at the very end was the difference in the game. They had 4th and 4, I think it was, and Baker, under a little bit of pressure, just left it short for Cade Otton, forced him down to the ground to try and catch it. He did catch it, but that cost him the 6 inches he needed to be to get the first down and keep the drive alive. So, and all this, it's unfortunate because it's like a couple of tiny mistakes in there are the difference between, at least having a shot to tie the game or win the game for Tampa Bay and not. And Emeka Ibuka, who's been so great this year, had this stone-handed drop in the end zone on a play where he roasts the guy, on an out and up, and then just can't bring in the catch. That's a tying play if they make that catch. So mistakes for the Bucks cost them in this game, but fair play to the Saints, who played hard and won the game.
Yeah, Saints they have been playing hard. They did a nice job. Shuck made some great plays with his legs. The second scramble drill play for a touchdown. The first one was just a keeper for that one was for 34. The Taysom Hill play, and they're like, no, Tyler Shuck on the keeper for 34. And then, as you mentioned, the Ibuka drop. The 1 o'clock window had heavy rain in a bunch of different games. The Jags had a couple drops in their game. Heavy rain in this one, off and on in Tampa. It certainly affected things. But Tampa Bay's offense, outside of Bucky Irving's return the last couple of weeks, they have not looked right. They have not looked good these last few weeks. And, now sitting tied atop the NFC South with the Panthers, who are on bye this week. And then, again, bunch of let's talk Tennessee getting the win. 2-11 Tennessee. Maybe losing the grip on that number 1 overall pick now with this win. They're 2-11, 31-29 over the Browns, who are 3-10. Browns were down 14. Shedeur leading the comeback, man. Scramble for a touchdown. Great touchdown throw to Harold Fannin. Fannin was outstanding. 8 catches for 114. And Shedeur finishes with 364 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air.
Yeah, I thought Shedeur played well in this game. I mean, the Titans got out to a lead. They put him in an ugly situation. They blocked a punt. Like, some things went against the Browns, and Shedeur did execute a comeback, and not just how it had happened before. He like dumps the ball off, and Dylan Sampson takes it 60 yards and scores a touchdown. Like, Sampson actually puts the ball on the ground, fumbles it, and Shedeur was making some plays, and then did really nice touchdown pass to what should have been, put them in position to tie it. They needed the 2-point conversion to do it. And then the Browns, Stefanski, they took him off the field. They ran a trick play on the 2-point conversion to try and tie it. And it looked like Judkins just forgot to pitch the ball, just screwed up the play.
He bobbled it.
Titans killed it. Game over.
Did he bobble it on his way to pitching? They had something dialed up, and it was ugly. But
forgot that he was supposed to be pitching it.
Browns were on the bad end of the analytical play. Down 14, go for 2. They didn't get it, so you got to go for it the second time. They didn't get that one. So, yes, I had at least one person in my mention saying could kick the extra point both times and be sitting in overtime, which is true. Sometimes it works the other way. And so the Browns end up losing by 2 based off those 2-point conversions that failed.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's going to happen. It's not like it's a guarantee. It's just saying that there's more likely that happens than the other way.
Tony Pollard with a huge day for the Titans. Just 161 on the ground. Really nice run at the very end of the game, too, just to seal it, to make sure that they ended the game. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Didn't see much from Cam Ward, 14 of 28 for 117. But Shedeur, I mean, again, we'll have way more detail tomorrow morning on the morning show, 7 a.m. But we mentioned when we first saw Shedeur, even though there was a little dump off for a big play, but there was the scramble drill in his very first start where we said there's some big play potential here for the Browns with Shedeur under center versus what we saw from Dylan Gabriel versus what we saw from Joe Flacco in a few games. Shedeur Sanders, beautiful throw to Jerry Jeudy for a 60-yard touchdown. The passes to Fannin, as we mentioned. There's at least some big playability, and seeing Shedeur Sanders in a comeback attempt with a pass first game script, I thought was really impressive for a fifth rounder. No,
and
really
look, the
impressive.
Titans, the Titans defense is not great, and they still got some plays on Shedeur. Like Jeffrey Simmons got him for a sack. There were a couple plays where his troublesome relationship with the pocket sometimes didn't do him any favors, but there were some good plays in there as well where, he did escape at the right time, where he did understand how quickly you need to get rid of the ball once he'd started to escape, when he was willing to pull up with a guy headed towards him and deliver a pass over the top rather than try and beat that guy on the ground with his legs. I thought this was a much better performance from Shedeur. Forget the passing part of it, forget, delivering the ball, but like all the other stuff, the pocket awareness, the pocket manipulation, and when to avoid pressure and when to just take the bad play. That part of his game was by far the best we've seen from him so far.
Seattle Seahawks 37-9 over the Falcons. Falcons officially eliminated from the playoffs at 4-9. Seattle moves to 10-3, and so now for the second straight year, you have Sam Darnold leading a team sitting atop the conference in record at 10-3. We'll see if this holds at the end. With at least one game remaining to see, will number 1 seed versus number 5 seed here. But it was 6-6 at the half. Rashid Shaheed with a kickoff return to start the second half. And then it just all fell apart for Atlanta, and Seattle dominated the second half on their way to the 37-9 win.
Yeah, another reason that you trade for Rashid Shaheed. You can put him back there returning kicks, and the dude's dangerous doing that as well. Yeah, it was weird. You assume that this would have been a beatdown start to finish, but actually, as you said, close game for certainly the first half, and then that return started the rot. Bijan fumbles the ball away as well, and suddenly everything in the second half just went against the Falcons. Like they couldn't buy a play head in their direction. Thought they had plays. Actually, no. In review, we're going to take that one away, or turnovers, and then Seattle just put the foot to the gas and marched away.
Darnold, a couple big plays to JSN, including a touchdown. I thought Darnold's last touchdown, pocket movement, finding JSN on the crosser was outstanding. Darnold with 3 passing touchdowns in this one. They ran the ball pretty well. Defense forced had 2 interceptions and a forced fumble on Bijan, all in the second half. So yeah, it was Seattle's defense coming around, and Darnold looking much better than he did last week against Minnesota. Miami Dolphins 34-10 over the Jets. Biggest news here. So the Dolphins 6-7, still alive here. The kids love that one, Sam. Jets fall to 3-10. They had Tyrod started, but Brady Cook, rookie, came in there. 2 interceptions for him in relief. Devin Achane left injured after going 92 yards on 7 carries, including another touchdown on a toss play, because that's what he does. Dolphins taking care of business against a lesser team right now, 34-10.
Yeah, it would have been. They got out to a lead early. They were 14-0 up, and then they get an interception. Now you're 21-0 up, and it's like this is, it's tough to crawl back from that kind of an early start for somebody. It would have been interesting to see if it would have gone any different direction with Tyrod if he'd been healthy there, but instead he gets hurt. He has to leave the game. Justin Fields had been hurt during the week, was already ruled out of the game. So now you're turning to an undrafted rookie and Brady Cook, and undrafted rookies getting starts in the NFL unexpectedly as the third quarterback is almost certainly going to go badly. And it did. The good news for Dolphins fans is that Devon Achane, Mike McDaniel said afterwards, he could have gone back in the game, but why would he, given the way the score was, given how it was going? So it doesn't seem like it's going to be any kind of significant injury for him. Was worrying at the time, but I think it'll be fine.
Minnesota Vikings 31, Commanders 0. Vikings moved to 5-8, Commanders to 3-10. Vikings got up early. Commanders got stopped on 4th down. Vikings kind of ran away with it. Andrew Van Ginkel did his thing with reading the screen, tipped pass interception. And on that play, Jaden Daniels took a big hit, gets hurt. So Daniels came out early. Marcus Mariota had to come in. And then for Vikings fans, the big story, by far the best J.J. McCarthy game that we've seen, 16 of 23 for $163, but 3 touchdowns, zipping the ball all around the field, JJ, in this one.
Yeah, the Michigan game, he showed at least he's still capable of it. At least, this was the type of game where, okay, the score is flattering the offense in terms of like that Van Ginkel did his bit and the other parts of the team did their part to set them up. But this was the game that the Vikings would have been hoping that JJ McCarthy was going to have, all the way through the season. Like here, we've got these good parts of the team. And you were mentioning, look, it's the starting 5 offensive line for the second time this year, and maybe the first time that they basically lasted the entire game. This was what it was supposed to be in terms of supporting cast. And McCarthy's shown, albeit against Washington, that he can at least go out there and have that type of performance, right? And that was a question mark after what we'd seen from him so far. So at least that's something for the Vikings to look at and go, okay, there's something to still work with here. This guy isn't just a total disaster start to finish. If the rest of the team is good, if the receivers are making plays for him, if the defense is playing the way it's been, we can still get something out of this guy.
Yeah, again, we'll get to more detail tomorrow morning in the game, but certainly the best I thought that I saw from JJ McCarthy, some huge plays on third down, and the Vikings defense for the second straight week doing a great job. They did it against Darnold and the Seahawks last week. You just didn't feel it because they're playing from behind and defensive touchdowns, but Minnesota's defense, another really nice game, this time against Washington and against Marcus Mariota for a big chunk of the game behind Jaden Daniels. Commanders fall into 3-10 here. They're we already buried them anyway. They're pretty much done. The other 2 4:00 games, Los Angeles Rams 45-17 over the Cardinals. Puka Nacua unstoppable in this game. Stafford with 3 more passing touchdowns, 2 to Puka, who had 167 yards on 7 catches, 6 for $130 something in the first half. Just unstoppable in this one for the Rams. And, oh, by the way, they ran for about 250 with Blake Corum and Kyron Williams.
Yeah, I mean, as is obvious from the scoreline, the Cardinals defense just couldn't stop anything that the Rams were sending their way. They couldn't stop Puka Nacua at any point. They couldn't stop the run game. The Rams offensive line just absolutely imposed their will, just crushed the Cardinals. Just an absolute beatdown on that side of the ball. And actually, like, it started pretty well for the Cardinals on the other side. Like, Jacoby Brissett was dealing, Michael Wilson was making some plays. But, like, dude, the pace they would have needed to set in order to have any shot at this game was just never going to happen given the defense they were going up against. So, yeah, really imposing performance from the Rams, who did bounce back from, the random defeat that they had.
Another 44 pass attempts for Jacoby Brissett. I got to check this out. He's got to be averaging 45 to 50 per start now.
It's crazy.
And, I mean, it's like a Drew Brees-like pace for Brissett. They barely ran the ball. But, yeah, Rams dominant, and they needed it. Look, they struggled last week against Carolina with the turnovers, gave one away if you're going to talk, from a Rams perspective. So now they're back to 10-3, sitting atop the NFC with that tie with the Seahawks in the West. And then the Denver Broncos moved to 11-2 with their win against the Raiders. I believe they now will have the tiebreaker over the Patriots. So they're sitting atop the AFC at 11-2. 1-score game, they beat the Raiders. Just a big 1-score victory for Denver here, squeaking it out. The Raiders kicked a field goal with no time left to make it a 7-point game for no reason.
Cannot believe the Raiders covered that line on that last kick. That is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this is as comfortable as a 1-score game as you're going to see. The Broncos had this very much in control for basically the entire game. The Raiders did not have much. Geno Smith got hurt his hand on a hit during when he was getting hit as he threw. Kenny Pickett came in. Really nice touchdown pass, actually, from Kenny Pickett. But they were unlikely to ever execute any kind of comeback in this game. Then you had this weird situation at the end where they were down to like 4 seconds, it was 2 scores down. So, like, well, let's take the kick and then hope for some kind of miracle on the onside. Somehow didn't even get given the second left on the clock. They're just like, nah, that's it. Game over. So you covered, but you didn't do anything else.
Raiders, second straight time, they showed a little bit of life early on against Denver, who's, they're overmatched against this Broncos team. And then Denver's defense pretty much shut them down until the very end, despite, having Geno injured and everything. Marvin Mims, punt return for a touchdown. That dude is so good on the return game, just like Marcus Jones with New England, Parker Washington. There's like a few of these returners any given week can make a huge impact. It's Mims in this one. It was pretty much over once he returned that. Nice touchdown run from RJ Harvey. Had 75 yards on 17 carries. And Bo Nix, 31 of 38 for 212. Efficient game for Bo, for all the Bo fans in there. Great job by Bo Nix.
Good performance. I mean, type of like they had some impressive, like RJ Harvey had a really good game here. I mean, they had some impressive performances on offense, but this was the Raiders.
That's it. The Raiders, the Commanders, they make a lot of teams look good every single week. So that's it. We got a big one Sunday night here. Texans, Chiefs.
Yeah.
AFC playoff implications. So enjoy that game. And as always, if we didn't talk about your team enough, we didn't give your team credit enough, chances are we'll be able to do it tomorrow morning for 3 hours. We'll be going game by game. Might even break down the college football playoff. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on Notre Dame being left out, Sam.
Well, they're then taking their ball and going home by refusing to play in bowl games.
Hey, if you make 110% of all the coverage, just the college football playoff and not the bowls, why would anybody want to go to the bowl games anyway? So that's why. Nobody cares if you're not going to talk about it. So we'll break it all down tomorrow morning. Be sure to join us 7 a.m. Check the mic, week 14 review.